I just finished watching KSW 119, a really good card on paper, but did the fights live up to that expectation? First off, Patrick Kaczmarczyk, you absolute beast. What a fighter. I'll get to how he performed in a minute. I do need to apologise, I'm running on fumes a bit right now. It's nearly midnight here in Krakow. I did watch the full card, but I'll only go into the specifics for the main 3 fights of the night. So first up was Rutkowski versus Tahila. Please bear with me, it's quite late and I'm a bit tired as I said, so I'll probably butcher some of these pronunciations because I can actually read Polish and I can pronounce the surnames usually, but some of these guys are from Romania and places like that, so a bit tricky. But look, I'm from England and Brits and Americans are famous for being terrible at other languages, so I guess I'm doing you all a favour and fulfilling a stereotype. Let's all laugh at the English guy. So, Rutkowski and Tahila wasn't for a title, but it was between the number 3 and number 6 in the featherweight division, but they were fighting at a catchweight, and I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe someone in the comments can let me know. Rutkowski was the betting favourite, with his experience believed to be a bit too much, but Tahila, the much younger guy actually, proved them wrong in a way with a much better performance than I think they anticipated. A much better performance than the commentators anticipated too. But Rutkowski still got the nod with a unanimous points win, and I'll be honest, I disagreed with that decision and I thought Tahila did enough to win. And I don't think I'm alone in that, judging by some of the comments that I've seen online. Rutkowski did execute some really high quality high kicks, but Tahila was blocking them with his glove and I just thought he did enough. Maybe I need to watch it back. Hands up, it wasn't the most exciting fight of all time. It was a bit of a technical chess match. So next up on the main card was Stefan Wojciak from Slovakia versus Arek Shosek from Poland. It was also a non-title fight, but it was against the 1 and 2, apart from the champion, in the heavyweight division. And the winner will fight that champion, England's very own Phil de Vries, top bloke. Now this fight should have actually happened in April, but it got postponed due to injury. And I was actually really looking forward to this one. So for some background, Shosek's a former Glory kickboxer, and he's one of the guys that I mentioned when I first started the channel in the very first shorts I did when I was in Spain. And in that short, I picked some of the guys from KSW that I think would potentially do well in the UFC, particularly from an entertainment standpoint, because in Shosek's case, he hits so hard and he has such a high knockout or stoppage percentage. But I think I called it too soon, because Stefan Wojciak is a very high level grappler with a strong jiu-jitsu background, and he dominated the opening round with quite a few submission attempts from the off, and he dropped Shosek with a punch as well. And then in the second round, Wojciak again took it to the ground and he made Shosek tap. It was a chest choke or a smother. It's not something you really see very often in KSW or Octagon or UFC these days. I think it's something you might have seen more often in the Pride days 20 years ago, 30 years ago with Mark Kerr and all those guys. It's pretty brutal. But it was a very impressive performance from Wojciak, especially because Shosek has built a pretty fearsome reputation as a striker, and for me, as a recent no-gi jiu-jitsu beginner, it's cool to see some of these submissions in action. Now the headline fight was Poland's Patrick Kaczmarczyk defending his featherweight title against the Czech Republic's, or Czechia, I can't keep up, the Czech Republic's Leo Brita. Unsurprisingly, like the bookies, I picked Kaczmarczyk to take this one because he's a really solid, well-rounded operator with great wrestling skills, very relentless Polish style with crazy levels of fitness, and with a bit of judo thrown in there, pun intended. So the Prince of Radom, as Kaczmarczyk goes by, this was a hometown show. He started off superbly with a great takedown, despite being visually, significantly, naturally a smaller man. That's what I mean, right? He's not just a wrestler, but he's a very well-rounded mixed martial artist. So second round, Kaczmarczyk comes out, boom, spinning back kick. He drops Leo Brita and goes right in and attempts a submission in front of the hometown crowd. And it was epic stuff. And the momentum continued because in the beginning of the third round, he got an arm triangle submission in. Very impressive style, but Brito managed to escape. But Kaczmarczyk, being the relentless guy that he is, just kept going for it. Sometimes when MMA fights are on the ground so much, it can be boring, but because he was just constantly going for submissions and dominating every position, I was really impressed and it was exciting. And then at the end of the third, after Brito had escaped at the start, he tapped him out with the arm choke. It was a proper champion's performance. But what did I say last week, right? I said if you're a British fight fan, or an Irish one, or anywhere else in Western Europe really, and you like MMA but you don't really want to stay up until 4 in the morning or go to bed early and wake up early, then there are really good alternatives. But I do have to be honest and say this wasn't personally my favourite KSW card from the past few months, but it absolutely was a very solid night of fights and well worth a tenner for the pay-per-view if you're accessing it from outside of Poland. I watched it on Polish TV, but that's besides the point. Now obviously in this video I focused on KSW, but there's Octagon too, and they're arguably at the moment a larger organisation and on a more upwards trajectory if you like. And they actually just debuted in very impressive style in Berlin tonight. They're already massive in Germany, but for whatever reason they've never put on a show until now in the capital. And like I say, from the looks of it, it was a resounding success to put it mildly. So I will be looking at some of the main fights and I'll also be doing a breakdown on what Octagon are doing so well right now. And that video will be released on Monday. As always, thanks for watching and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.